Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Postcard English Stories, where we make language learning simple, enjoyable, and real. I'm your host, Paul. Today, we're diving into a challenge that every English learner faces: how to stop translating in your head and start thinking naturally in English. If you've ever felt stuck between understanding English and actually speaking it, this episode is for you. Let's break down why translation slows you down and how you can train your brain to think in English step by step. Part 1. Why translating in your head slows you down. When you first start learning English, translating in your head feels natural. It's like having a bridge between your native language and English. You think of what you want to say in your own language. Then you try to find the English words, build the sentence, and finally speak. At first glance, it seems like a helpful strategy, but in reality, it creates serious problems that slow down your speaking ability. First translation creates a delay in your speaking process. Real conversations move fast. People speak quickly, change topics, joke, interrupt, and expect quick responses. If you are busy translating every word and sentence in your head, your brain has to perform 3 steps before you can even speak. 1. Understand the meaning in your native language. 2. Search for the English equivalent. 3. Build a grammatically correct sentence. By the time you complete these steps, the conversation has often moved on. You feel left behind, embarrassed, or frustrated. Even worse, your responses sound hesitant and broken, making communication harder. Second, constant translation makes you stressful and tired. Speaking should feel natural and flowing, but when you're translating, it feels like taking a test. You are constantly worried. Is this the correct word? Did I use the right tense? Does this sentence make sense? This mental pressure builds up quickly, it drains your energy and creates fear. You may even start to avoid speaking because it feels like too much work. Over time, this habit reinforces the fear of speaking, creating a vicious cycle. Third, translating often leads to unnatural English. Every language has its own structure, rhythm, and way of expressing ideas. When you directly translate from your native language to English, your sentences may sound awkward or confusing. For example, in some languages, it's common to say, "I very like," instead of "I really like." If you translate directly, native speakers might understand you, but your English will sound less natural and sometimes even unclear. Direct translation also creates grammatical mistakes. Word order is different in many languages compared to English. Articles, a, an, the, might be missing. Prepositions, on, in, at, might be used incorrectly. Idioms and expressions may be translated word for word, losing their real meaning. These errors can make your speech harder to follow. Fourth, and maybe most importantly, translating stops you from thinking in English. Fluent speakers don't think, "What is this word in my language and how do I say it in English?" They just react naturally. When you rely on translation, your brain always needs to go through your first language first. It's like trying to run a race while carrying a heavy backpack. You're slowing yourself down unnecessarily. Thinking in English allows you to build direct pathways between English words and their meanings. You see an object, and you think of the English word immediately without your native language getting involved. This is how young children learn. They don't translate. They connect words directly to feelings, objects, and actions. Adults can do this too, but it requires deliberate practice. Let's look at a simple example. Imagine you see a cat. If you translate, your brain first thinks con mayo. If you're Vietnamese, then finds cat, then says cat. If you think directly in English, you just see the animal, and the word cat appears naturally in your mind. No middle step, which one is faster? Obviously direct thinking. Finally, translation makes spontaneous conversation almost impossible. Imagine being in a casual chat at a party or in a meeting. People throw jokes, questions, and comments at you quickly. You need to respond in seconds. If you are stuck translating, you'll miss the rhythm and energy of the conversation. You may answer too late or not at all. This makes conversations stressful and isolates you from real connection. In contrast, when you stop translating and start thinking in English, you can react faster, understand better, and enjoy conversations more. You don't need to be perfect. Native speakers don't expect you to speak like a dictionary. They value natural flow and connection much more than perfect grammar. Of course, breaking the habit of translating is not easy. It's a strong habit built over years of language study, but recognizing how translation slows you down is the first step. Every time you catch yourself translating, smile and gently guide yourself back to thinking in English, even if it's just with one simple word. The good news is, with daily practice, your brain can rewire itself. Bit by bit, you can build the ability to think and speak directly in English. It won't happen overnight, but every small step counts. And soon you'll notice you're speaking more easily, more naturally, and with much less stress. Part 2. The hidden problems caused by constant translation. In Part 1, we talked about how translating in your head slows down your speaking. But translation doesn't just make you slower, it also creates hidden problems that quietly hurt your English progress over time. Let's explore these hidden issues so you can understand why stopping this habit is so important. First, translating in your head builds a mental wall between you and natural English. Every time you rely on translation, you are reinforcing the idea that English is separate from your daily life. You see English as something you must convert from your native language, not as something you live in. This wall makes English feel distant, complicated, and tiring, instead of familiar, natural, and easy. When English feels like a second-hand experience, it's much harder to build real confidence. Second, translation makes your speaking sound mechanical. When you translate, your brain is focused on correctness instead of communication. You're thinking, is this the right word? Is my grammar okay? Am I using the correct tense? As a result, you speak slowly, pause a lot, and your sentences sound robotic. You might sound like you're reading from a textbook, not having a real conversation. This can create a feeling of distance between you and the person you're talking to. Third, translation causes emotional hesitation. When you're busy translating, you become very self-conscious. You worry about making mistakes. You fear sounding stupid. You hesitate before speaking. All of these emotions, fear, shame, doubt, make it even harder to speak naturally. Over time, this emotional hesitation grows bigger than the actual language problem. You might know the words, you might know the grammar, but fear holds your voice back. Fourth, constant translation blocks the growth of real fluency. Fluency is not about speaking perfectly, it's about speaking smoothly, even if you make small mistakes. Real fluency means you can join conversations, share ideas, express emotions, and react quickly. But when you translate, you can't be fast. You are stuck at every step. First, thinking in your language. Then searching for English words. Then checking if your grammar is correct. This kills your natural reaction time. You can't flow freely. And because you can't flow, you never practice real conversation skills, like interrupting, politely changing topics, or using small talk naturally. Fifth, translating damages your English intuition. Languages have patterns, sounds, and feelings that you start to recognize automatically when you live inside them. For example, after enough practice, you know that on Monday sounds right, while at Monday sounds wrong, even if you can't explain the grammar rule. This kind of intuition is powerful. It lets you speak and understand without overthinking. But if you always translate, you block this intuition from developing. You stay stuck in a world of grammar rules and vocabulary lists instead of real communication. Let's think of it this way. Imagine trying to dance by reading the instruction book while standing on the dance floor. Step 1. Move your left foot. Step 2. Raise your right hand. Step 3. Turn slowly. You would look stiff, robotic, and totally disconnected from the music. Now imagine dancing naturally, feeling the rhythm, moving with the beat, enjoying the moment. That's the difference between translating English and living English. Finally, translation can cause mental burnout. Because translating in your head is exhausting, you may start to feel that speaking English is just too hard. You might avoid speaking opportunities. You might tell yourself, I need more vocabulary first, or I need better grammar first, when in fact what you really need is to practice speaking freely without the pressure of translation. Burnout is dangerous because it can make you give up too early. Many learners quit, not because they are bad at English, but because they feel mentally tired from the wrong way of practicing. Recognizing these hidden problems is powerful. It helps you understand that the goal is not just to know English, but to experience it directly. By breaking the translation habit, you open the door to speaking more naturally, confidently, and joyfully. It's not about speaking perfectly, it's about speaking alive. Part 3. What it really means to think in English. After understanding why translating in your head is a problem, it's time to dive into a new idea, thinking directly in English. But what does it really mean to think in English? It sounds mysterious or even impossible at first, right? Especially if English is not your first language. Don't worry, thinking in English is not some magical gift. It's a practical skill that anyone can build step by step. First, thinking in English doesn't mean thinking perfectly. You don't need to think about deep philosophy or write beautiful essays in your mind. Thinking in English simply means that your first reaction, your first thought happens in English words, not in your native language. For example, when you see a cup of coffee, your brain immediately says, coffee, not the word in your first language. When you feel happy, you think, I'm happy, instead of translating the feeling. At the beginner level, thinking in English can be very simple, just one word or a short phrase. At an intermediate level, it can grow into full sentences or even internal dialogues. You don't have to jump to perfect sentences immediately. It's a process, and every small step counts. Second, thinking in English is about making direct connections. In your brain, you create a link between the thing you see or feel and the English word without needing your native language as a middle step. Think of it like building new roads inside your brain. Old way thought, native language, translate, English, speak. New way thought, English, speak. The new way is faster, smoother, and much less stressful. It turns English from something you study into something you live. Third, thinking in English helps you react faster in conversations. When someone asks you a question in English, you don't have time to sit and translate every word carefully. You need to respond naturally, just like you do in your native language. By training your brain to think in English, you build the habit of reacting directly. You become quicker, more natural, and more confident in real conversations, even when you don't have the perfect grammar. Fourth, thinking in English helps you improve pronunciation and intonation. When you think in English, you're not just focusing on the words, you're also feeling the rhythm, the tone, and the music of the language. You start to hear how native speakers combine words, stress certain syllables, and glide sounds together. This subconscious awareness makes your own speaking sound more natural over time without needing to study long pronunciation rules. Fifth, thinking in English builds emotional connection. Language is not just about words, it's about feelings. When you think in English, you start to feel emotions directly in English too. You feel excitement, curiosity, happiness, or even sadness through the English language. This emotional connection makes English more meaningful and more personal for you. It also gives you the ability to express your real personality in English, not just translate a version of yourself. Finally, thinking in English opens the door to real fluency. Fluency is not just speaking without pauses. Fluency is when your mind and your mouth work together smoothly without needing a third language in the middle. It's when you can focus on the conversation, the ideas, the connection, instead of the mechanics of language. Thinking in English is the bridge that takes you there. Many learners believe that thinking in English will only happen once they are advanced enough, but actually the opposite is true. You become advanced because you start thinking in English, not the other way around. It starts with small steps, one word, one phrase, one thought at a time. You don't need to wait. You can start today. You can start now. Even this very moment, you can look around you and name what you see in English. You can describe your actions, your plans, your feelings in English. Bit by bit, you will train your brain to live more and more inside the English world. And when that happens, speaking becomes not just easier, but also more natural, more joyful, and more truly yours. Part 4. Practical ways to train your brain to think in English. Now that we understand the power of thinking directly in English, the next question is simple. How do we actually train our brain to do it? Luckily, you don't need complicated textbooks or expensive courses. You just need simple daily practices that gradually rewire your brain for English thinking. Let's explore some practical and easy ways to make this happen. First, start small with one-word thoughts. Look around you right now. Name the objects you see, but only in English: chair, window, book, phone, pen. This exercise might seem basic, but it's extremely powerful. You are training your brain to make a direct connection between what you see and the English word without translating. At first, it might feel slow. You might even forget words. That's normal. The goal is not perfection. The goal is to start building the habit. You can also expand this to simple adjectives and verbs. Hot, cold, open, close, clean, dirty, eat, drink, walk, sit, sleep. Whenever you notice something, just whisper the English word in your mind. Over time, you'll build a stronger and faster mental dictionary, ready for real conversations. Second, narrate your actions in English throughout the day. This technique is incredibly effective because it turns your daily life into natural English practice. For example, I'm brushing my teeth now. I'm making coffee. I'm walking to the bus stop. I'm opening my laptop. You don't need fancy grammar. Simple present tense is enough for most situations. The key is to describe what you are doing out loud or silently in real time. By doing this, you create a powerful habit, thinking in English about your own life, not just about school topics or textbook examples. Third, use short English moments every day. Choose one small routine in your day and commit to thinking in English during that time. For example, during your morning walk, while cooking breakfast, when taking a shower, on your commute to work. During these moments, try to stay in English. Think about what you see, what you plan to do, how you feel, all using simple English words and phrases. At first, you might struggle. Your mind will want to switch back to your native language. That's okay. When you notice it happening, gently, guide yourself back to English, without judgment. The more you practice these small English moments, the easier it becomes. Fourth, practice micro-conversations with yourself. Imagine short conversations in your head, or even better, say them out loud when you're alone. Pretend you are ordering coffee, asking for directions, talking to a friend. Use simple phrases you already know. Hi, can I get a coffee, please? Where is the nearest bus station? I'm not sure. Let me check. You don't need to invent complicated stories. Focus on real-life situations you might face. By practicing these micro-conversations, you prepare yourself for real ones without needing to translate. Fifth, build your automatic phrase bank. Some expressions are so common that you should be able to say them instantly without thinking. For example, how are you? I don't know. Let me think. That sounds great. Could you say that again? Choose 5 to 10 useful phrases and practice them every day. Say them out loud, whisper them when you're walking. The more automatic these phrases become, the more natural your speaking will feel. These small phrases act like shortcuts in conversations, helping you react faster and feel more confident. Sixth, switch your vocabulary study to a visual method. Instead of writing English words with translations into your native language, use pictures. For example, if you're learning the word apple, don't write apple, tau. Instead, find a picture of an apple and connect the image directly with the English word. This method, called visual vocabulary, is very effective for building thinking skills in English. It cuts out the middle step of translation and creates stronger memory connections. You can use apps like Anki Quizlet or simply create your own flashcards with pictures. Even drawing small sketches yourself can help, and it's fun too. Seventh, be patient and kind with yourself. Training your brain to think in English is like planting a garden. You don't see flowers the next day. You water the plants, give them sunlight, and trust the process. Some days you'll feel progress, other days you'll feel stuck. That's completely normal. The key is consistency, practicing a little every day without giving up. Remember, you're not trying to think in perfect English. You're simply building faster, more direct connections. Even if you only manage a few words at first, that's success. Every word you think in English is a victory. Every phrase you say without translating is a step closer to fluency. Part 5. From Translation to Natural Thinking, Your Daily Action Plan. By now, you understand why translating in your head slows you down, and you've learned practical ways to start thinking in English. But to truly change your habits and build real fluency, you need more than just ideas. You need a clear daily action plan, a plan that's simple, doable, and fits into your busy life. Let's create that plan together. Step 1. Set a tiny daily goal. Instead of saying, I will think in English all day, start small. Choose a goal so easy that it's almost impossible to fail. For example, think in English for 2 minutes each morning. Name 10 objects you see before breakfast. Narrate 3 actions while you get ready for work. The important thing is consistency, not intensity. It's better to think in English for 2 minutes every day than 30 minutes once a week. Tiny daily steps build powerful long-term habits. Step 2. Use anchor moments. Anchor moments are times in your daily routine where you can easily attach English thinking. You don't need to find extra time. You use moments that already exist. Some examples. While brushing your teeth, name everything you use: toothbrush, toothpaste, sink towel. While making coffee, narrate your actions: I'm boiling water, I'm pouring coffee. While waiting for the bus, describe people or things around you in simple English. By linking English thinking to regular activities, you make it automatic, like brushing your teeth. No effort, no stress. Step 3. Create a personal phrase. Bank choose 510. Everyday English phrases that are useful for your life. Write them down, practice them out loud every day until they feel automatic. Your list might include, I'm ready, that's a good idea, let's get started. What do you think? Can you help me? These phrases become your emergency tools when speaking. They help you start conversations, react quickly, and keep talking without freezing or translating. Step 4. Record and reflect. Recording yourself is a game changer. Each day, take just 1 minute to record yourself. Describe your morning routine, talk about what you see, say a few sentences using your phrase bank. Don't worry about mistakes. Listen back with a smile and ask simple questions. Did I hesitate too much? Did I translate in my head? Did I find any words easily? Reflect, but don't judge yourself harshly. Recording and listening builds self-awareness and speeds up your progress. Step 5. Practice visual thinking. Whenever you learn a new word, connect it to an image, not a translation. For example, when you learn apple, picture a red apple in your mind. Don't think of the word in your native language. You can even make simple drawings or use apps with image flashcards. The goal is to create a strong visual connection between the English word and its meaning. This way, when you want to say something, your brain finds the English word directly, fast, and naturally. Step 6. Celebrate small wins. Changing your thinking habits takes time, and it's easy to feel impatient. That's why you must celebrate even the tiniest victories. Today, I thought in English for 2 minutes, yes. Today, I named 5 objects without translating awesome. Today, I used 3 phrases automatically, great job. Celebrating small wins keeps you motivated and positive. Remember, progress is not always loud. Sometimes it's quiet, invisible, but it's happening every day you practice. Step 7. Accept imperfection. Finally, accept that thinking in English won't be perfect. You will still forget words. You will still sometimes translate without meaning to. And that's okay. Fluency is not about being perfect. It's about communicating freely, enjoying the process, and getting better. Little by little. Every time you practice thinking in English, even if it's messy, even if it's slow, you are winning. You are building a new version of yourself. someone who doesn't just study English, but lives in English. Thank you for joining me today on Postcard English Stories. Remember, building fluency isn't about speaking perfectly, it's about thinking naturally, speaking bravely, and enjoying every step of the journey. Every small effort you make today brings you closer to the confident English speaker you're meant to be. If you found today's episode helpful, please like, subscribe, and share this podcast with a friend who's also on the path to English fluency. And don't forget, every word you think in English is a victory. Until next time, keep speaking, keep smiling, and keep growing with Postcard English Stories.